Now, as a huge fan of Indiana Jones, it was a pleasure making this video, to skeletal remains that show a violent dark history, to a finding that shows hidden secrets, ready to be discovered. These are 5 of the creepiest and most mysterious archaeological discoveries to ever be discovered. Let's begin. Number 1. The picture you're looking at is of the mummified remains of Bishop Winthrop, who died in 1679 at the age of 74 years old. He was one of the founders of the University of Copenhagen and was bishop until his death. Well, in June 2015, his grave was excavated and moved from the crypt of London Cathedral to its northern tower. The body was taken away for research, where researchers were shocked to see such a well-preserved mummy. You can even see the facial hair, and his internal organs are still intact. He's one of the best well-preserved in Europe. One of the researchers commented that it's like going back in a time machine, as it's the closest you're ever going to get to actually meeting someone in the 17th century. He was buried in burial costume of a cap and black velvet sleeves, linen embroidered shirts and leather gloves. Now this is when it gets interesting, and some of you might find it a bit disturbing. A CT scan showed that there was a mysterious fetus of a 6-year-old baby tucked under the feet of the bishop. The identity of the baby is still a mystery, and only a DNA test will confirm if the baby is related to the bishop. The bishop is now on full display, but will be reburied. Number 2. In 2012, in France, archaeologists discovered a circular burial pit that known to some as the Circle of Death. Their discovery was so disturbing that it shocked the archaeologists, as it was like no other they have personally discovered before. Inside the burial pit, dated to be around 6,000 years old, lied a pit to be full of skeletons. Skeletons with their amputated arms, hands and fingers. The hands were chopped to pieces. Archaeologists said they have never discovered a burial pit with such brutality in the area before, and believe it was an act of war. Altogether there were 7 skeletons, 4 of them were children, and 1 of them was an infant. Their limbs were on the bottom of the pit, suggesting they had their arms, hands and fingers cut off, and then tossed in the pit. Soon after, the bodies were then chucked in the pit. The middle-aged man had his skull fractured and his upper arm removed. None of the contemporaneous pits found in the world show such signs of extreme violence. Number 3. Thousands of naturally mummified bog bodies have been discovered throughout time, dating back from 10,000 years ago. In 1950 in Denmark, 2 brothers were cutting peat in the peat bog when one of the brothers' wives noticed a corpse. What's so remarkable about this discovery was how well preserved the corpse or the man actually was. He has now become known as the Tauland Man. The corpse appeared so fresh that they believed at the time that it was a recent murder victim and contacted the police. Just imagine the total fright the wife and the 2 brothers must have been in to see a corpse so fresh they can even see the wrinkles around his eyes, and his body in a fetal position looks like it's just sleeping, waiting to wake up at any moment. The police were so baffled by the condition of the body that they contacted archaeologists to try and help them identify the time of death. Well, let's just say that the corpse you're looking at is over 2,400 years old. The rope that was found around his neck indicates that he was hanged, before he was then lowered in a fetal position in the bog that then mummified the man. For over 2,000 years he laid in the bog in a fetal position before he was then discovered, and has now been moved to Sulkeborg Museum in Denmark. Number 4. Now this one is just full of mystery. When I was a kid I was a huge fan of Indiana Jones, so I had to find some kind of excuse to put the Copper Scroll on the list. Basically, in 1952 scrolls were discovered in Cave 3 near Kilbrook, Qumran. The Copper Scroll is of the Dead Sea Scrolls that were discovered, but is significantly different than the other scrolls that was found. The other scrolls were written on parchment while the Copper Scroll was written on metal. It gets even more interesting. Unlike the other scrolls, it's not literary work, but a list of locations. A list of locations with buried items of gold. It's a treasure map. It's like the real life version of National Treasure. The text is an inventory of 64 locations, 63 of which are treasures of gold, silver, which has been estimated in the tons. There's jewellery, precious perfumes, ritual clothing, and other scrolls that are believed to be hidden. The scrolls were written in the early form of Hebrew. It never lets us know who left the gold or why they left the gold, which you would think is a bit weird. If you've got any other information, please share to us in the comment section, as I'd love to read it. Number 5. This gives me chills. At least 80 skeletons believed to have been executed have been unearthed at an ancient cemetery in Athens in 2016. They had their wrists bound by iron shackles, but it's the way their mouths are wide open that gives me the shivers. It's something that you will see in a horror movie. Some of the skeletons were found to be neatly next to each other, while others were piled on top of each other. The reason why they were executed, or who they actually were, is still a mystery. It's believed by archaeologists that due to how the bodies were respectfully laid, that those executed were likely more than just slaves or everyday criminals. Some of the skeletons are believed to have been very young individuals. One theory is that they were supporters of the Olympic champion by the name of Cylon, who staged an attempted coup in Athens in 632 BC with the help of his father-in-law, the tyrant of Megara. Once the coup failed, Cylon managed to escape from harm, but his supporters were killed. And maybe these were his supporters, who lay there in silence, but tell a tale of intrigue and mystery.